Let's look at watershed management this way. And I'm walking in the deer trail that is formed across the bottom of this detention area. And you can see there are some willows that have formed. And there's a catch right here. So what we're talking about here is the watershed from this other property. As you'll notice, when I walk over to the property line, this fence is actually on my property across the property line. And so this telephone pole down here, yeah, we'll walk down to the pole that's in the ground. So this is the corner of the property. And if we turn around and look up here to the telephone pole, you can see the corner of that property up there is actually going over the property line. And when they have rainwater deposit and other types of runoff, it comes down the hill, and you can see on that other side how it splits. And you can see some of the erosion here. There's actually a creek at the bottom that's dry right now. It's not dry, it's just trickling. And then if we go up the hill, continuing up the property line, you'll see how much, first off, you'll see how far away this detention basin is. But you'll also see how much surface runoff comes down this edge. And so I'm going to move over to this edge here. And what I'm standing in right now is a little bit of a trench. Now this side's pretty clean. It's not as bad as the other side over there because we were able to have more grass. Oh wow, you can see the deer have scraped up those trees pretty good. But where does the water come from? It comes from over here because their basin shifts off to one side. Now, let's continue up the hill here. And you'll see the telephone pole and the post in the ground. And so you can see how the corner of their fence is over this line. Now we continue up the hill and we have water overflow. See, we get some water off of here on rain events. And how do I know? Well, you can see how the leaves are raked off the top, or washed off the top into a slight mound. But the majority of the water comes from over here. And so the area I'm walking on right now is really dry. There's actually a sewer line in here. And so that's somehow the influence of the design for the earthworks was, because we're looking down across the sewer line. But these catch basins slow the stuff down. Now there is a drain on the catch coming down the hill, but this has overflowed at times. So this is overflowed, cut the edge here and gone downhill. Now, if we were able to stabilize this by having it catch in the basin here and then evaporate, it'd be much better off. Of course, this is all the rainwater from the gutters. You can see the connection there, and then the front gutters as well. There would be a little bit better design. We also get water that comes down through the middle here. But the same factors are in place. We want to slow and spread the water. We slow the water down by accumulating it, and then we spread the water out by running it through channels. If we move the water to the bottom of the hill immediately, we're not going to be able to slow it down enough to prevent soil erosion into the creek area. So across the bottom of the property are basins. These basins fill, water evaporates, water soaks into the ground because they're unsealed basins. They're not ponds. Then we end up with, this is probably the most mature basin right here. And then the next one, second mature, and the bottom one is the least mature. But by impounding the water, soaking and spreading the water, we don't have mosquitoes, we don't have insect problems, And then later, you can fill this with gravel. If it tends to stay wet, you can fill it with gravel. If it doesn't stay wet the majority of the year, then you can fill it with a loose packed soil and put grass on top of it. But when this was bare soil, if you didn't do anything, all of this would be downhill. If the water got to run from the top of that fence all the way down to the bottom of the fence or the bottom of the property, we would have such a mess. It would just be completely unnecessary. You can design in solutions. So this area is a lot easier to mow. Ideally, you want the top of all your terraces easy to mow. But these are getting rainwater from a rather large watershed, a rather large roof and hard surface. And so if you understand what you're looking at from a design perspective, and that's what we're trying to help you with here at Prosperity Homestead by showing you these designs, especially 4 years after they were installed, you'll understand how this works. The best news is that the Department of Transportation, Army Corps of Engineers, Virginia Wildlife and Conservation, there's a lot of manuals that show you exactly how to do this. There's nothing on this site that we've invented, and there's nothing on this site that is not official for what is best practices, even to the point where we let all this stuff go to seed, because it's actually feeding the soil and providing wildlife habitat. So if you got questions about what we're covering here, please ask them in the comments below. If you have comments or criticisms, please put them in the comments below. It's hilarious. But overall, this is how these systems work. And if you want better bird habitat, beneficial insects, if you want to do something meaningful for the environment, then follow these best practices. It'll confuse people. But if this was never mowed, it would actually be small trees by now. And so my pacer trees that I planted down there kind of give me an idea how big we'd be working with. And so probably the smallest tree down there is what we would have on the majority of this. And it would be recovering rather quickly because it was done the right way. Oh, and you can even see a fox over on the other side walking up the hill. There's a fox at the bottom of that fence. See? Further evidence that you do this stuff the right way. You're going to invite wildlife. You're going to preserve it into areas that are less likely to impact you as a homeowner. You're going to get the benefit of the birds, the benefit of the bees, and even a fox, a deer, all kinds of things from time to time. I'm Justin Hitt. You can visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org to ask your questions. Thanks for watching.